The Enigma of the Burning Sky. In 1983, in the remote town of Kalor, Iceland, the sky seemed to be on fire. Amid the cold winds sweeping through the mountains, rumors spread about inexplicable lights dancing on the horizon. Aron Vigfinn, a local miner, was heading home after a long shift. While driving down an isolated road, he was struck by a flash of light so intense it seemed to tear the sky apart. What he saw in that moment would change his life forever. His truck stopped abruptly, and as he stepped out to investigate, he encountered something unimaginable. A metallic craft suspended in the air, emanating a hypnotic hum. But what did these lights signify? Were they a signal from another world, or something more earthly and sinister? Aron attempted to move closer, but as he took a step forward, a beam of light enveloped him, completely paralyzing him. He felt himself lift into the air as if gravity had abandoned his body. Then, everything went dark. 30 years later, in the heart of Berlin, a young aerospace engineering prodigy, Emil Jansen, was hard at work in an advanced research laboratory. At only 26, Emil had become a key figure at the European Space Agency. However, there was something on his mind he had never shared with anyone. Since childhood, Emil had recurring dreams of bright lights and ethereal figures. He believed these dreams might be connected to a series of unexplained events that had occurred worldwide over the decades. One day, while analyzing satellite data, something caught his attention. A strange signal originating from a remote area in northern Canada appeared in the records. The most curious part? There were no registered satellites in that region capable of emitting such a frequency. Intrigued, Emil tried to trace the origin. After hours of analysis, he realized the signal was remarkably similar to a pattern he had seen in old reports of UFO sightings. What did this pattern mean? Have you ever wondered if the inexplicable signals appearing in our world could be messages from something far greater? And what if we were being observed, not by human eyes, but by something beyond our comprehension? Emil knew he couldn't ignore this discovery. When he sent a replica of the signal back into space, something extraordinary happened. His computer received an immediate response. It was a stream of complex and unknown codes, strangely resembling the dreams he had been having since he was a child. To Emil, this couldn't be a coincidence. Unknowingly, he was about to step into a mystery that would connect his life to an enigma long forgotten in the past. The Echo of Shadows. The response Emil received was more than just a code. He felt it was a message, a call. On the screen, characters continually reconfigured themselves, forming patterns he couldn't interpret. Driven by a mix of curiosity and apprehension, Emil decided to record everything in a digital diary, believing this could be the key to unraveling the mystery. That night, while reviewing the data, Emil was interrupted by a power outage in his lab. All the monitors went dark except one, the screen displaying the received signal. It flickered, and an image began to form, what appeared to be a map. Before he could react, Emil heard a metallic noise coming from the hallway. He opened the door to find a hooded figure leaving the building in a hurry. Chasing the stranger, Emil found only a flash drive left on the ground. Back in the lab, he plugged the device into his computer, and a grainy video played. It was a recording of an older man who seemed to be speaking directly to him. Identifying himself as Hans Richter, a former scientist from the same agency, the man warned, "What you found is dangerous. Trust no one. They will come for you. Find me before it's too late." Who were they? And why would Emil be a target? With no time for doubt, Emil researched Hans Richter and discovered that the man had disappeared 10 years ago under mysterious circumstances after publicly claiming extraterrestrial signals were being intercepted by a secret organization known as the Black Sentinel. The following morning, Emil received an unexpected call from Lena Falk, a colleague and cryptography expert. She had noticed Emil accessing restricted files and was curious about his investigation. Reluctantly, Emil shared part of the information, omitting crucial details. Fascinated, Lena agreed to help him decipher the code. As they worked together, Lena noticed something disturbing. The signal carried not only information, but also a frequency that slightly altered surrounding signals. "This isn't just a code, it's some kind of key," she said. "But a key to what?" That night, Emil felt he was being followed on his way home. Looking back, he saw a black car parked across the street. His heart racing, he entered his apartment and locked the door. His unease deepened when he found a mysterious envelope on his desk. Inside was a handwritten note. "You've opened the door. Now there's no turning back." Terrified, Emil knew he had to find Hans Richter. But where could he be? And who had left the envelope? As he gazed out the window, he saw peculiar lights in the distance, eerily similar to those in his childhood dreams. What Emil didn't realize was that he was at the center of something far larger, where science, memory, and forces beyond human understanding converged, and the shadows around him were closing in. The web of the incomprehensible. Emil didn't sleep that night. The cryptic envelope, Hans Richter's video, and the sensation of being watched wouldn't leave his mind. Determined to find answers, he followed the only concrete lead, Hans Richter's last known location, an abandoned village called Drachenfeld, on the outskirts of the Black Forest. Before leaving, Emil entrusted the signal data and the flash drive to Lena, asking her to continue deciphering the code while he was away. Lena hesitated. "If you're right about what this means, messing with this could attract dangerous people. Be careful." Emil thanked her, but knew he had no choice. Something about the signal connected to his dreams, and he had to uncover the truth. The journey to Drachenfeld was shrouded in mystery. Upon arrival, Emil found the village even more isolated than he had imagined. The streets were deserted, the houses crumbling. However, as he approached an old chapel, he noticed something unusual, faint lights flickering inside, as if someone was there. Inside the chapel, Emil discovered an improvised lab filled with notes, maps, and outdated equipment. In the center of the chaos was Hans Richter. The scientist looked worn out, with deep circles under his eyes and an expression of indescribable burden. Before Emil could speak, Hans raised a hand. "You brought the signal here, didn't you?" He sighed heavily. "Then they already know where we are." Hans began explaining that the Black Sentinel, a secret organization controlling information about extraterrestrial phenomena, had been monitoring Emil ever since he received the signal. According to Hans, the code wasn't just a message, it was a marker, an invitation sent by something existing beyond the boundaries of human comprehension. "When I deciphered something similar years ago, I was hunted like a traitor. They believe this technology can rewrite the laws of physics. But what they don't understand is that it's not just science, it's something far older, something that can alter the very perception of reality." Before Emil could process everything, a metallic sound echoed outside the chapel. Hans stopped abruptly and looked at Emil. "They're here." Outside, black drones sliced through the night sky as armed men disembarked from unmarked vehicles. Hans pulled Emil into a hidden underground passage. As they ran, the scientist revealed more. The signal was connected to an energy known as the threshold light, something that transcends dimensions. They think they can control it, but it's like trying to tame a storm. Underground, Hans showed Emil a room containing a strange device, a mix of an old radio and a high-tech generator. "This is a frequency modulator. I used it to understand part of the signal, but I was never able to activate it fully. I think you can?" Confused, Emil asked why. Hans hesitated before replying. "Because you're different, kid. That signal chose you." As they tried to activate the device, the chapel above them exploded, and the Black Sentinel forces began invading the underground tunnels. Hans handed Emil a flash drive containing his research. "If I don't make it out, you need to carry on. Head north to Lake Raukan. That's where everything converges." Before Emil could protest, Hans locked the door behind him, staying behind. Emil fled through the tunnels, hearing echoes of gunfire and shouting behind him. Emerging into the forest, he found a small abandoned boat by a nearby river and began his journey into the unknown. As he paddled under the starlit sky, one question consumed him. What exactly was the threshold light, and why did he feel it was intrinsically tied to him from the beginning? The call of the threshold. The darkness around Emil was thick, broken only by the glow of the stars reflecting on the river. He couldn't shake Hans' last words. "You were chosen." The idea seemed absurd, but something inside him echoed the truth of the scientist's claim. Emil reviewed Hans' documents as he made his way to Lake Raukan. Among the notes, he found a rudimentary map and intriguing references to ancient texts that spoke of energy beyond space and time. Hans believed that the threshold light was a portal to higher dimensions, a bridge to understanding the origin of existence. reaching the edge of the lake. Logically, Emil noticed something peculiar. Despite the cold night, the lake's water seemed warm, emitting a faint golden mist. Consulting Hans' map, he found a mark indicating a specific point at the lake's center. Without a proper boat, he improvised a raft with branches and ropes left by local fishermen. As he paddled, a sense of unease overtook him. The air seemed to vibrate around him, as if something invisible was watching. Suddenly, Emil heard a high-pitched sound, like a distant wail. Looking back, he saw lights flickering in the trees, not natural, nor from flashlights. Something was closing in. At the lake's center, he found a submerged structure, appearing as a perfect circle of stones inscribed with symbols he didn't recognize. Hans's flash drive contained images of these same markings, along with translations mentioning a lost connection between worlds. As Emil touched one of the stones, an intense glow emerged, and the lake began to pulse with waves of energy spreading across the water. Emil felt an immense weight in his mind, as if the thoughts of other beings were invading his consciousness. On the far side of the lake, figures emerged from the forest. They were Black Sentinel agents, but something was different. They seemed disoriented, confused, as if the energy of the location was affecting them. Emil realized they couldn't reach him for now, but he knew time was short. Suddenly, the submerged structure began to rise. It was as if the lake was revealing a long hidden secret. A black obelisk emerged from the water, covered in luminous symbols pulsing in the same rhythm as the signal Emil had received weeks earlier. At the top of the obelisk, a small spherical device floated, radiating a hypnotic golden light. As Emil approached, a voice echoed in his mind. It wasn't in words, but in feelings and images. He saw flashes of historical events, stars being born and dying, and civilizations vanishing. The voice was both an invitation and a warning. You stand on the edge of knowledge, but the price is high. Choose wisely. Before Emil could react, the lights on the far side of the lake intensified. The agents had found a way to advance. A helicopter roared above him, illuminating the obelisk. Emil knew he couldn't let the artifact fall into their hands. He grasped the floating device, and immediately an energy surged through his body, as if he had become part of something greater. The voice returned, clearer this time. You are the link. The choice is yours. Looking toward the horizon, he saw the agents rapidly closing in. He had two choices: activate the obelisk, releasing its energy and potentially destroying everything around him, or try to hide the artifact, ensuring the Black Sentinel could never find it. With his heart racing and his mind filled with uncertainties, Emil knew his decision would alter not only his destiny, but perhaps that of humanity itself. He took a deep breath, closed his eyes, and chose. Fate awaited, the threshold's decision. With the device in hand, Emil felt its energy pulsing like a racing heartbeat. The lights of the helicopter and the shouts of the Black Sentinel agents made his decision even more urgent. He knew the artifact was more than just an object. It was a key, a catalyst for something that could transcend reality. The voice echoed once more in his mind. The choice is not only yours to decide, it is yours to understand. The obelisk began vibrating intensely, emitting golden waves of light that spread across the lake's surface. Emil realized that the more he held onto the device, the more he could comprehend the signal's meaning and the truth behind the threshold light. It wasn't just a portal to other dimensions. It was a fragment of a cosmic network connecting consciousness, worlds, and time itself. And as Hans had said, it wasn't something that could be controlled. The Black Sentinel agents reached the edge of the lake, their weapons trained on Emil. A voice through a megaphone ordered, "Drop the device! You have no idea what you're dealing with." But Emil knew they didn't understand what it truly was either. The decision. With the obelisk activated and the device in his possession, Emil realized there were three possible paths. First, destroy the artifact, severing the connection between Earth and the higher dimensions, but erasing any chance of understanding humanity's true potential. Second, activate the portal, risking opening a path to the unknown and possibly dangerous, but also unveiling secrets that could transform the world. Third, hide the device, bearing the burden of protecting the secret alone, keeping it out of the Black Sentinel's hands. He looked to the sky, now glowing with unfamiliar patterns, and made his choice. The outcome. Emil raised the device and, with clear intent, decided to activate the portal. He knew the risk was immense, but he understood that closing this door would doom humanity to eternal ignorance. Golden light engulfed everything around him, and the obelisk began transforming into a spiral of energy ascending toward the heavens. The Black Sentinel agents opened fire, but their bullets vanished upon touching the light. Space itself seemed to distort around Emil, and he was enveloped by a sensation of peace and terror simultaneously. He saw fragmented visions, alien civilizations, vibrant worlds, and a central figure radiating compassion and wisdom. "You have opened the path," the voice said, now clear, "but the fate of the bridge will be decided by those who cross it." In the next moment, Emil disappeared. Epilogue: The New Era. Months later, Lake Rauken became an international enigma. The obelisk had vanished, but a strange energy permeated the area, like an invisible magnetic field no technology could explain. The Black Sentinel suffered a significant blow, with many of its leaders mysteriously disappearing after the event. Lena, who had continued deciphering the signal, received one final file from Emil before his disappearance, a message stating that the portal had been opened to something greater. But it was up to humanity to decide how to use this knowledge. The message was accompanied by coordinates pointing to another remote location, suggesting this was only the beginning. As for Emil, he was never seen again. However, stories began to emerge of people experiencing recurring dreams of a young man in a golden landscape, guiding them through unknown paths. Perhaps he had found his place beyond the threshold, or perhaps he was waiting for the right moment to return. Emil's legacy and his choice remained an enigma, but one thing was certain: the world would never be the same again.